guys, Krem Partners. We're going to be talking about our partners all over the country. And the great thing about partners is you guys can have a lot of different styles coming on here.
Yeah.
Bobby walked in and I'm like, man, you're bringing the jacket on. I'm sitting over here.
This guy looks like he just came back from a Hawaii vacation.
Well, I kind of did. I'm in Florida now.
Yeah.
So, I am on it's vacation when I get to live here.
You got to be living the dream, man.
Yeah. Oh, I'm freaking, you know what? That's why I usually have this door open. But for the purpose of not having the glare, I keep the door closed. But I always have this door wide open and I forget it's February all the freaking time.
Yeah, man. You don't have to shovel snow here or anything.
Man, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of good memories with that, but there's a lot more.
We got to do one more thing while you're down here.
What's that?
We need to get you a tan. Because you are shockingly Caucasian right now.
Listen. I got the white lights on. In my defense, I got white lights on.
I was like, he is bright.
Listen, all right, Bobby. We could have said that offline,
You're right.
We just said
the whole world's watching.
So this is why I love my partners, But anyway, so we want to bring on Bobby Franchise, Bobby Entertainment, Bobby Davidowitz.
Davidowitz? Don't worry, not a lot of people know how to say
it.
Bobby D is what we're gonna do for the new podcast that we're doing, because I think Davidowitz is hard to say.
You can't even say it right.
No, even I stumble upon it. It's too many syllables.
Right. So no, I want to bring you on, Bobby, because listen, you're an inspirational guy. You have a great backstory too. So I want to talk a little bit about before you got into real estate, like the entire industry.
Wow.
Before you got into the industry, because I know you were you were doing other things in the real estate industry, but talk to us a little bit about the entertainment life.
Oh, wow. Entertainment. Well, I did what everybody, I feel like in society, you follow a lot of patterns. The pattern was you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, right? And it was funny, I was always a pretty good student. I played sports. I did all the right things, right? But I was actually kind of lost, really. I didn't realize how lost I was until I graduated college, right? And somebody was like,
what do you do now?
Right, like, what do I do now? I always knew what was next. And now I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's next.
Right.
And the thing that kept kind of burning inside me was, man, I don't know anything else that excites me besides the entertainment game, right?
Yeah.
You could ask my mom. I was a kid. I memorized the lines of the movies.
Right.
I'd come out and do the scene.
Would you really?
Yeah, like a karate.
I can definitely see that now. Yeah,
I'd be like throwing on the karate kid in the middle of the living room,
Right.
And so I was just like, man, what am I gonna do with this? Because this is the only thing I think I'm passionate about right now. And I was just young. I just didn't have experience with anything else. So I went in and actually went to acting school for a while. I was really looking to be an actor.
Yeah.
My mother comes from the theater background,
right?
And I was like, man, I want to be an actor. I want to just be in the entertainment game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where
you're entertaining me now, so I can definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, dude. I do. That's always been like a passion, just entertaining people in general.
Right. Right.
And so I went to school for that. Did some independent films. I did some commercials.
Are there any links to these online?
Yeah, I try to erase everything before I got back into real estate now. But so I did that for a while, and then I kind of grew up in the 90s hip hop and R&B era.
Oh, I know that.
And so when that hit, I was just really passionate. Always been passionate about music,
right?
And about poetry and about writing. And when hip hop came out, I was like, oh my God, this is poetry with beats. And so
poetry with beats.
It's poetry with beats.
It really is.
And so I created a little label called Fourth Quarter Entertainment.
Yeah. Stay tuned for something very similar to that.
Yeah. So it was early 2000s. I had gotten into the mortgage industry by that time. Created a little label with some friends, and we just kind of started growing it from there. And the funny thing about now looking back on it is that I really thought that entertainment and business were two totally separate things.
Right.
And the funny part is look at us now, right? Like I think it's like the more and more like every year passes, I was like, what's funny is every company has to have an entertainment division,
100%.
or you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it. Like, I actually believe now that every company should have its own label, right? And its own production company, right?
Yeah.
Krem, right?
There we go.
To me, that's a label. To me, that's a production company.
It pretty much is. Yeah, like the branding label. It's like our brand. Yeah, you're 100% right.
You're going to create your own music at some point.
Yeah.
You're going to create your own media at some point. Your own shows. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, everything was in training for my position now, and now I'm combining those worlds really and in a real estate game.
No, and that's amazing. So I never thought about like the entertainment industry, even though I'm on podcasts, I'm on lives, I'm doing this all the time. the correlations between that and the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like, so getting into this now, like getting into real estate, you said you never saw yourself getting into real estate?
No, I mean, honestly, I didn't want to get into business. I mean, here's my thing.
What held you back from getting into business? Did you have like a preconceived notion to what it was?
Yes.
I hear that from so many people. Like, what was yours?
Yeah, because I didn't really have any, you know, like I saw my parents go to, all I knew about work was like they went somewhere, came back.
Right.
You know, my father didn't really talk to me a lot about what he did at work, which in my mind said it wasn't that exciting. You know what I'm saying? And here, my personality is definitely like, if I'm not having fun doing it, you know, I understand that not everything's fun at the beginning, but like at some point I got to start enjoying this thing. Right.
Of course.
And so really I just framed it around fun. I used to think the word business was synonymous with boring. Like business is boring. Right. It's just, my name's Bobby.
You're in a cubicle. Right. You're in a cubicle, like typing your life away.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to lose my hair. They're going to call me Bob and I'm going to be sitting in them.
Was that like a scary thing for you to get called Bob?
Dude,
yeah.
Wait till you meet my dad. Like my dad's bald. They call him Bob. Yeah. And then they asked me to get business. So I was like, man, I don't want to do this at all. So when I left college, I was like, dude, I got to avoid this like the plague. It's the worst. Yeah. Right. But obviously that's proven not to be true. Like, it actually is a very, very entertaining and fun game, the game of business in general. And I just never knew that I would even get into real estate. Like that wasn't even a thought process.
Right. So, and I think that's the thing with business too, is you're able to make it what you want out of it. Right. Yeah. You're able to choose your own path. You're able to do your own things.
Yeah.
So with that being said, now we're getting into your entertainment side, into real estate. Talk to us a little bit about like some of those. I've seen your videos, but like, where do you come up with those ideas? Obviously, since you're in the entertainment industry, when did it dawn on you that like, man, I can start doing this in real estate too?
Man, it probably wasn't. I guess about 6 years ago, really. Yeah. 6-7 years ago, when Gil Ramos and I started to kind of talk and understand that, you know, we were probably going to go into business together at some point.
Right.
You know, I remember telling him actually, hey, you know, what I see us doing is actually building that label, that branding division, right?
Yeah.
I actually worked for, and you might know Nick Nanton.
Oh, yeah.
So Nick and I grew up together, right?
Really?
And so I used to work for Celebrity Branding Agency. That's something that I did in between. And so I really saw what it took to brand an expert. Yeah. I mean, I was helping clients write their books. I was helping clients get in mass media, television shows, all of it. I was in the backward production part of it. And I saw this and I was like, you know what, Gil? At some point, we're going to have to create this production company so that we can help brand and market agents. I actually told him that like 6 years ago. Yeah. And he was like, no, we'll get there. Well, now it's literally, I mean, we're working with you. Yeah. I mean, we're doing all this stuff that I was like, dude, 6 years ago, I knew that at some point, I mean, we got green screen in the back of our office.
Oh, you guys have like a green screen wall where the walls are painted. Everything is greened out. Yeah. It's pretty badass.
It's everything. Look, I'm even like on a recording studio mic right now. Like that. I mean, so it's all starting. That's when I really it started to click that was going to be huge. Now, obviously I didn't know that was at the beginning stages of me getting back into real estate again. So I was just like kind of envisioning for the future, thinking, man, at some point we're going to be that company, right? Yeah. Creating media, videos, shows, content all the time.
Yeah. So, and it's funny you say that because like when we go in there, you guys have like a whole wall and then you guys have props, you guys have desks, you guys have different chairs, like a whole pretty much media selection, like a media studio right there.
Yeah. And the agents are really the ones that took the ball, right? We just kind of built it and now they came, right?
We built it, they will come.
Yeah, right. And so, you know, you might walk by, I'll walk back there one day and I'll see agents doing a show and I was like, man, this is awesome.
Right.
So we're getting there.
Yeah, and so for you, like partnering, I mean, you guys are partnered with over 900 agents now in 18 states. What are some of those qualities that you really look for in a partner? Like for people that you want to partner up with, what are like some must-haves for you?
Man, you know, there's a lot of cliche things you could say, but I think that, you know, I want people who have a hunger to grow. Yeah. I mean, in general, like, you know,
how do you gauge that?
You know,
that's the toughest thing. It's tough.
That's the toughest thing, you know, because there's been times, you know, you'll meet somebody and you're like, and knock it out the park, man. This is the one. Yeah. And then you know they might fizzle out or whatever the case may be. Right. And then you get some people that are like, I don't know, I'm 50-50 on this one, and then suddenly they show that they have a lion inside, right? So you know, I think in general, you know, when you get somebody's story, you kind of get a sense of what they're passionate about, what they're willing to do. And I'll be honest with you, I think Gil's one of the best at spotting talent. Right. I mean, I've been pretty good in my lifetime, but there's that, he gives me a different perspective, because I might look at somebody and be like, I don't know. And he'd be like, oh, yeah. And then, or she's going to, and I'm like, really? I was like, hey, man, I'm always open to somebody proving me, wrong. Like, dude, please do, know? But I think that's the main thing is, if you're just getting into real estate to do transactions, you can do that anywhere. I really am looking for people who want to grow personally, because like, we're just big personal development people. And honestly, if there's anything I realized over the past 6 years in real estate and coaching agents is that, if you don't have the right belief systems, you're dead in the water. Yeah. Honestly, you're just dead in the water. You'll find reasons not to take the action. You'll find reason to talk yourself out of it. You'll find reasons why real estate doesn't work. Yeah. Right. Even though it's working all around you. Right. It's just the main thing is getting people's heads right, getting the story right, finding out where they, I hate to be the Tony Robbins of it, but I mean, that's why I studied with Tony Robbins for, I've been to 8 of his events, and it's really just.
You've been to 8 events?
I've been to 8 events, man.
Wow.
I've been to 8 of his events, and, and what I did was his first work on me. Yeah. And then once I understood the mechanisms, which is what he's teaching, right? He's saying, hey, I don't want to be your guru. I'm going to teach you strategies to shift your own mind. And then I'm taking that and helping other people shift theirs.
So going from Tony Robbins of like what you're able to do, like you said, shifting your own mind, what were some of those shifts, maybe like some of those millimeter shifts that you were able to make?
Oh, man. Sometimes it's like, it just gets real simple sometimes. I think that couple things, one thing he said was, you are not your mind. And, I spend a lot of time in my mind, thinking of things, scenarios, visions, this and that. But, just understanding that your person as a person have a soul that's different from this computer that runs, right? Yeah. Because especially when you got a shitty story, right? Yeah. If you got a shitty story that runs over and over again in your mind, you start thinking your life is that shitty story, not realizing, oh, that's just a bad program.
You start finding it everywhere. You start seeing it everywhere too.
That's right. It's just a bad it's a virus. It's a program. It's a bad program, right? Wow. So when he said, hey, you're not your mind, and he kind of held his hand out there, and he's like, you can kind of look at what's going on. Same way I could look at this computer and say, hey, man, I see this virus running here. Let's just get rid of that. And so that was a big shift, kind of thinking of it this way. Right. And then, another thing that he said was, perfection is the lowest standard. And I think that a lot of us take pride in perfection, but the reality is a lot of times we kind of scare ourselves in taking action because we feel like we're supposed to walk into this podcast and do it perfectly or walk into this show and do it perfectly, right? Instead of just doing the freaking show. Right.
That's why we come on here, everyone's always, it's like people sometimes ask me like, hey, what are the questions? What are we going to be doing? I'm like, well, here's what we're going to do. You're going to show up. We're going to go live. Like that. Like those are the 2 things. You need to show up and we're going to go live. Because a lot of times too, we can sit here. And for me, when I send people questions, like I know what's happened to me where I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, here's my answer. Here's going to be my statement. And I'm going over it over and over in my head. Yeah. If I mess up, I'm like, crap, that's not what I wanted to say. So it starts becoming staged. It starts becoming not authentic. Yeah. When I ask you a question, like right now, if I have to ask you a question, it's got to be authentic because you have no other choice but to prepare for it.
Yeah, I have no backup plan.
Yeah, there's no backup plan. And I think that those are the best interviews. Those are the best things that happen when it's that authentic self.
Organic. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, and then it also makes it fun too, because then I have to come up with the questions.
Yeah, right? It's on the fly. Yeah. So the pressure's on you, man.
The pressure is kind of on me at the moment.
I can talk.
Right. So Bobby, so when you're so we talked about like what you're looking for in partners, and then yourself is growing. Mm-hmm. So for you at any moment, like what was a big transition? Because you said in the last 6 years you've been coaching more agents. What were you doing prior to that?
Well, I just got back into production, really. I mean, it was my second go around at real estate, and I understood that the first things first, we got to start producing. You got to make income.
You got to make money.
Like if you don't know, if you're not in real estate, they don't pay you every Friday or every other Friday. It's just, you kind of got to learn, how to find business. And, so that's kind of where I started. Right. And
what was your go-to with finding business? Because everybody always says, like, some people are like, man, I was on the phone. Some people are on social media. Some were like really hitting their dad. Like, what was your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, my thing has always been, and here's the funny part. And I shouldn't even say that. Like, I really didn't come in my second time around in real estate to be a top producer. I didn't.
What'd you come in for?
I came in to build something bigger, right?
Okay.
To build wealth, to build connections, to do I didn't come in with that mindset. I knew that there was something more for me. It's funny because it evolved exactly how I thought it would, right? But look, I was always able to be a 6-figure earner through simply making more connections than everybody else, right? I honestly, I care about people. I build relationships. And I say this to the agents all the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to sell homes. Homes sell themselves, right? Like I'm not selling homes, right? Because hey, I can ask everybody in the room, you need a home? Yes. Right. All you need is a place to sleep. Okay. So you don't have to sell the idea of real estate to people. Everybody needs it. So really what you have to be great at is connecting with more people more often. And I happen to be not only I feel good at it, but I actually enjoy this.
You actually care.
I care about this. Like I like this. Like before COVID, I mean, I will go to an event and I will find the right energy people in the room and I'll talk to 2 or 3 of them. I will get their information and we will follow up. Boom. And it's just a consistent thing. Obviously, I've been doing that for pretty much my whole life.
And then it continues to build on each other and build on each other and make connections through those connections.
And that's how I built my business. That's how I did transactions, is simply through my sphere. And I'm good at keeping those relationships up. I show up, and
number one core value, show up.
I mean, I tell people all the time, it's like, dude, keep your word, that's the that's the easiest way to build your brand is keep your word, right? So if I tell a client, if a client's going to have a little, birthday dinner, for their partner and they invited me and I say I'm going to go,
you're going to go.
I'm going to go. Right. If I can't go, I tell them I can't go or I don't know yet. But one thing I won't do is be like, yeah, I'll be there. And it's all BS, right?
Right.
And I think that's my thing. It's like, I just show up, there's an event going on, I'm showing up.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah. And on top of that too, I want to draw it back because you said the second time coming in, I knew I wanted to build something bigger. Yeah. What went into that thought process coming into that point? Like you said, you're a 6-figure earner and you could have continued that route if you just went production.
Right.
What went into that mind process of like, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to start building something.
Sure. Well, that mindset got built a long time before that. I've had a passion for building wealth and financial freedom since I got out of school, right? Because when I got out of college and I was in that kind of trying to figure things out, I started reading some books. I actually got into a multi-level business not too long after.
Really?
It was a version of Amway called Quick Start.
Okay.
I started in that personal development thing early. I had a good buddy of mine named Renell who was always big on personal development. Read these books. And I'm like, all right, man.
Were you reading them at the time? Or
Well, I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, it was right after school. I think he noticed that I was kind of trying to figure stuff out. He's like, dude, you got to start reading these books.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a book called Who Moved My Cheese.
Okay.
And you ever read it?
No,
it's a famous one.
I've heard of that. Really?
Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese, man. It's actually a parable about 4 mice in a maze.
Right.
But it's a parable about the way we look at life. And it's a short book, but I was like, but the main premise of the book was, what would you do if you weren't scared? What would you really be doing? If fear wasn't an issue, what would you actually be doing?
What would your everyday look like? What would you be doing? Yeah.
Right. What would you be doing? And so anyway, I started that kind of financial free. I'm very surprised that in this day and age, we don't teach more about wealth and we don't teach more about it because the reality.
What would you teach? Okay, so let's say in an ideal world, Bobby's world, Mr. Bobby right here, right?
Right.
Mr. Bobby's world. What would you be teaching about what were some of those core principles?
Okay, so number one is I think people don't take this seriously. I mean, I'm telling you, we got to take it way back.
Right.
Like I'm not even going to teach you a principle until you understand that you are enslaved by money.
Yeah. And
it's that serious. Like I need people to understand that if you have more life than money, you're going to have a problem. And the majority of people do, right? Like I don't understand why people don't look at it more serious. Like I'm always thinking of analogies to try to make it hit home for people.
Right.
So this is the new one that I came up with. Okay.
Right,
So you know my girlfriend Amanda, right?
Yeah.
So this is an admission that she's probably gonna get mad about, but we watch a ton of murder shows. Okay. Meaning reality murder shows like Homicide Hunters, First 48. I mean, you name it. We just watched one called Night Stalker.
Night Stalker?
Yeah, it was about a serial killer. I mean, I don't know why it fascinates us, but it was like we love detectives, so we're looking at it, right? And every time Every time there's a murder in a high-end neighborhood, right?
Are you looking at the houses?
No.
I thought that's where you
have some feeling.
Right.
No. I was like, look, every time that there's a murder in that neighborhood and they're starting to show the neighborhood, there's one line they say in every one of those shows.
What's that?
We don't see murders here often. That's how serious money is. It will save your life. Because you know what? In the other neighborhoods, it ain't like that.
I was seeing where you're coming back to.
The reality is money won't save your soul, but it will save your life. That's the reality.
Wow.
That's the reality. The reality is that very few murders happen in high-end neighborhoods. When you get sick, people with money don't care about it. You know why? Because they got a great doctor.
Wow.
They can afford health care. Yeah. They don't have the same problems that everybody else has, right?
Yeah.
So to me, the first thing I would teach is it's this serious. Like everything you can't do right now has to do with the fact that you don't have enough money to do it.
Wow.
And you'll tell me that money is not the most important thing, but you're spending the majority of your week going to get it in a place that you hate most of the time. That's how serious it is. And we're totally blinded by it.
Right.
That's how passionate I am about it. And then after that, I can teach fundamentals. But if you don't get past that, you got a problem. Right. So like, for instance, I'm doing a seminar. You guys are welcome to come February 19th, Friday, from 2 to 4. I call it From Agent to Shareholder. Right. And I spent 80% of that class just talking about the long game. Right. Talking about what it takes, and I'm by no means there yet, but I'm on my way to creating something. And I've studied all the greats and all the people who have the results. Right. Yeah. And the principles are the principles of the principles. Yeah,
it's the same thing a lot of times too. What I've started to notice is a lot of books and a lot of these principles, they're the same thing. They're rephrased. They're like named something else. Right. Like you said, it's the principles and there's just hitting them home each time.
It's just hitting them. It's just sticking with the plan. The plan is the plan is the plan. You got to do things. Let me tell you why it's hard. You got to do things now that pay off later. And most people aren't willing to have the discipline to stay in long enough doing those correct things for the results to come. Yeah. And that's tough. That's why a lot of people don't get wealthy, right? Because you have to start now. Yeah. And it's going to hit 10 years from now. Yeah. But man, you'll be glad you started today.
Get rich quick, right? It's always like, how am I going to do this overnight? I mean, that's why do you think there's more people who play the lotto than go and work out all the time too, right? That's I know it's two different things, but it's like working out. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. You have to be able to do it every day. You have to be able to eat healthy. It's a round-the-clock job to be able to get in shape the way that most people would want to, right? And then on top of that too, that's why a lot of people are playing the lotto because it's I want it and I want it now, right? It's like I scratch it off, didn't get it, great. Let me get another instant gratification.
That's right. That's right. And so to answer the initial question, when I came back in, I already had that mindset. Yeah. The one thing that I would say I definitely made the difference as far as where we're at now is I had made a decision. I'm going to commit to real estate. I'm going to get in line and stay in line. Like I hopped around and done a couple of different things, right? I had, worked for Nick Nanton for a while. I had been in the mortgage business before, got out of that. I did the entertainment stuff for a while, but this time I was like, look, dude, if we're going to build something for the long game, you got to stay in it for the long game, right? So this time I just said, hey, there is no other vehicle than this real estate. Yeah. We're going to get into it. And I don't know exactly how the path goes, but I know I'm going to stay in this line. And sure enough, here we are, 6 years later. And I'm like,
900 agents, 18 states.
Best decision I ever made.
Right. All right, Bobby, I like doing one thing here. Okay. I want you to give one piece of advice. I know it's tough to pick one piece of advice to agents all there. I want you to look in the camera, give them that one piece of advice, what they can do in their business right now.
Agents. Yeah, well, I could say this is kind of going back to the Tony thing I told you about is you guys are waiting to know everything about real estate before you actually start letting people know you're in real estate, right? So I would say don't be a secret agent. Connect with as many people as possible. You don't even have to tell them anything. Ask them their story. Ask them about them, right? Find out about people. This is the mistake most agents make. They're just going right. You guys are going right to some kind of close, right? And guess what? They know it too. So I would just say, don't wait to be perfect. Start connecting with people, get their story, and I guarantee you business will come. The more people you connect with, the more money you're going to make.
Boom. You heard it here first. Bobby D coming on Krem Partners. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Man, I appreciate you, brother.
We'll see you guys on the next one.